We've now got a good picture of what a system of bioregional cosmolocalism might look like in 30 years' time. But it is of course essential that we work out what to do now to start moving in the right direction. So, what should we do now? I'll give an overview of what we can do now in this video, but it's also the focus of my book, Building Tomorrow, Averting Environmental Crisis with a New Economic System, which is full of practical examples of people and organisations doing things which can be seen as the building blocks of the new system I hope we build. So here's a quick summary of what we should do now, and please read my book to learn more. The first and most direct thing is to develop cosmolocal networks and bioregional projects. Examples of already existing cosmolocal networks that I describe in my book are Fab Labs, the Transition Network, and Open Source Ecology. I also describe possible networks of tool libraries and circular cotton clothing factories. Neither of these exist yet, but I am currently working to design and initiate them. There are many other possible cosmolocal networks, so if you are in a position to do so, please found, fund, or otherwise support them. I am actively working on spreading cosmolocalism, so if you are interested in working on this, please get in touch by emailing tomorrow@paddylafluffy.com. I'll put my email address on the YouTube page too. On the bioregional side, as I mentioned in an earlier video, I recommend you check out the work of Joe Brewer and the Design School for Regenerating Earth and get involved in bioregional groups in your local bioregion. But there's more development work that needs to be done to enable a truly bioregionally circular cosmolocalism. One is to bring materials into the circular economy, ensuring they can be recycled as many times as possible, and to build regional circularity for particular products or materials. To build regional circularity, it's essential that, as well as the products being repeatedly recyclable, they are sold specifically within a local area, and the customers do return them to be recycled at the end of the product's life. Neither of these things are particularly normal at the moment, especially the local recycling part, as people generally put things in the general recycling, which is highly centralised. As such, successfully setting up regional circularity will involve fostering a movement or culture. While creating bioregional circularity is the ultimate goal, and it's great to do it from the outset where appropriate, just creating regional circularity, for example in a city, is a good start. Those are ways of directly building bioregional cosmolocalism, but that's not all we need to do. I'll explain this idea with reference to the current capitalist system before going into the cosmolocal equivalent. The capitalist system isn't solely about capital accumulation for profit. Other components of the economic system are also suited to aiding expansionary capitalism. Examples are the societal economic goal of economic growth, the monetary system, which is based on universally fungible currency created as debt by private banks, and the fact that businesses are defined in a way that enforces the doctrine of shareholder value maximization. There are equivalents for all of these that are ideally suited to the cosmolocal paradigm. Donut economics, which was invented in 2012 by Kate Raworth, sets a new goal for society of aiming to meet the needs of all within the means of the living planet. This kind of goal is essential for bioregional cosmolocalism. We won't avoid catastrophic climate change, for example, if we move to bioregional cosmolocalism, but half of the bioregions power themselves using coal. So it's essential that individual bioregions act in a way that's aligned with improving the global situation, and the donut provides a clear framework for how to do this. For the monetary system, there are two levels at which to act, the local and the national. It is necessary to act at the national scale because today's main currency is issued nationally, so it can only be changed at that scale. But there are also local types of money that can be created. In an earlier video I briefly mentioned token currencies, which are one example, but there are also mutual credit systems, time banking, social currencies and much else, all of which come into the category of complementary currencies. There are already many complementary currencies in existence, and they will be very useful tools for fostering and structuring bioregional economies, so learn about them and use them when appropriate. For the national scale, there are various possibilities, and the one I personally think has the most potential is the sovereign money system developed by Andrew Jackson and Ben Dyson at Positive Money. This system is also supported by Martin Wolf, the chief economics commentator at the Financial Times, and has already been seriously considered by Iceland and Switzerland. I explain why I think it's a good idea in Building Tomorrow, which has a chapter on it. Finally, we need to overcome shareholder value maximisation, which is a technical way of saying the fact that businesses are legally defined to be solely interested in profit. There are many new business governance structures that approach this. For example, Faith in Nature has put a representative of nature on its board. Willicroft has made nature its CEO, and Patagonia has restructured its shares so that a trust has the voting shares and a non-profit receives the dividends. But the model I think is most promising is the Future Guardian model, which is being pioneered by a company called Riversimple. They have rewritten their Articles of Association, which are effectively the legal constitution of the company, and created a system of custodians and stewards, so that the company is run in pursuit of a purpose while balancing and protecting the interests of 6 stakeholder groups: the customers, the employees, the investors, the commercial partners, and the environment. I think this has great potential, as it's both very strong and very widely applicable, potentially as widely applicable as the current default model of profit maximisation. I describe this in detail in my book, in which I also suggest the addition of an extra stakeholder group of humanity as a whole. That's a quick overview of some of the components of the new economic system that we can begin building now, and I go into all of them in quite a bit of detail in my book Building Tomorrow, which has chapters on the donut, the Future Guardian model, the sovereign money system, and complementary currencies, as well as chapters on the circular economy and cosmo-local networks, although I call those regenerative organisations in the book. Something that's very important to note is that these are not top-down solutions to be implemented by governments. They can be implemented by people in different positions throughout society. For example, the Future Guardian model by businesses, complementary currencies by local governments and community organisations, and the donut by anyone who wants to get involved. Of course, national governments can put in place supportive policies and are needed to implement the sovereign money system. But the most important thing is that the huge number of people motivated to change the system, which hopefully includes you, learn about the new system we can build and work to put it into action in your own lives, at work, in communities, and with your financial support.